Heather Honey is not a detective, lawyer, or physician, nor does she play one on YouTube. Although, she does have a Bachelor's of Science degree in education. Opinions are her own because she is stingy.
This is a true crime channel. Some videos may have content that is disturbing to some and contain coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey. I can't help but laugh because I don't even know what to tell you about him, except there's a video that he put out for the public to address things that were going on during the investigation of Officer John O'Keefe's death. And what he said was just, he said things that he didn't know was true or not, and now we know they're not. But anyways, I'm going to play his video and I'll let you hear it, and I'll probably stop and we'll chit chat about it. But anyways, okay, so let me play the video.
This will be the first statement of its kind in my dozen years as Norfolk District Attorney. The harassment of witnesses in the murder prosecution of Karen Reed is absolutely baseless. It should be an outrage to any decent person, and it needs to stop. Innuendo is not evidence. False narratives are not evidence. However, what evidence does show is that John O'Keefe never entered the home at 34 Fairview Road in Canton the night he died. Location data from his phone, recovered from the lawn beneath his body when he was transported to the hospital, shows that this phone did not enter that home.
Normally, like when I'm watching a district attorney do a press conference, they're, asking for if anybody has any information, contact the agency that's working on the case, which in this case would be the Massachusetts State Police Department, or reassuring the public that, they're working on this. Why are you doing this video? It just, I'm floored. And word on the internet, I'm hoping it's a joke, but they're saying this is how you, they're going to show in law classes that this is how you do not do a press conference if you're the district attorney or probably any attorney. Let's continue to listen to see what Morrissey has to say.
11 people have given statements that they did not see John O'Keefe enter the home at 34 Fairview that night. 0 people.
11 people stated that they did not see John O'Keefe. Now, these were what we talked about in the Who's Who Part 1. The people that were at the house and the people that, happened to drive by or like was going to pick up somebody or whatever. But it's like, how do you know they weren't interviewed properly? But he's saying, that this is what happened, and don't do that. All right, let's continue.
People have said that they saw him enter the home. 0, no one. Some have, without any evidence, pointed to 18-year-old Colin Albert, a nephew of the homeowner, and accused him of attacking John O'Keefe as he entered the home. But phone evidence shows O'Keefe never entered the home at all. Testimony from witnesses tell us that 18-year-old Colin Albert had left his uncle's home before John O'Keefe and Karen Reed had arrived outside the residence.
The reason that he's bringing Colin Albert up in this video, in the beginning, the people that were interviewed stated that Colin was not in the house, that he wasn't there. And then, come to find out, he was there. So, of course, when the public found out, they were outraged. And it even looked more shady, like, why were these people covering up that Colin wasn't there? Why why didn't they just say, yeah, he was there? I mean, it's just really weird. And then you've got this district attorney coming out with his video saying, and these people didn't see this. In other words, he's like trying to take up for them. He's not their attorney. Why is he doing a press conference to, I don't know, take up for these people and their statements that we don't even know if it's true or not?
Fight inside that home. John O'Keefe did not enter the home. Colin Elbert, the young man being vilified, was not.
How did they know that Officer John O'Keefe didn't enter the home if there wasn't a proper investigation?
Present when Reed's vehicle and John O'Keefe arrived on the street. This is a false narrative. Colin Elbert didn't commit murder. Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Elbert. These people were not.
Now see, he's listing some of the witnesses. In other words, it sounds like they went whining to him saying, we're getting picked on because people are saying we did it. And okay, well, what about Karen Reed? What about her? People just, this happened to her boyfriend on the 29th, and by February the 2nd or 1st, she was arrested. If you're going to take up for them and not be biased, then you need to be taking up for her as well. And Officer John O'Keefe.
Part of a conspiracy and certainly did not commit murder or any crime that night. They have been forthcoming with authority, providing statements, and have not engaged in any cover-up. They are not suspects in any crime. They are merely witnesses in the case. To have them accused.
Again, how do you know this, District Attorney Morrissey? Just a thought.
Of murder is outrageous. To have them harassed and intimidated based on false narratives and accusations is wrong. They are witnesses doing what our justice system asks of them. The autopsy of John O'Keefe was conducted by a forensic pathologist from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
Okay, I want you to listen just a minute when he's talking about the Chief Medical Examiner, what, I believe it's a she, says about it. So just be sure to listen to this and then I'll talk about it.
The doctor found that the injuries that left John helpless in the cold were not a result of a fight.
Okay. For those of you true crime people, you know when a medical examiner, they're looking at the body and they're trying to make sense of the wounds or what happened to the victim. They never say it didn't happen because of a fight. It didn't happen because of they found down the steps and got a boo-boo on their knee. They don't write that way. So that was very suspicious. I think like investigators are sometimes in there with the medical examiner, maybe to get some more info, but not to guide them and tell them that, hey, put in this report that blah, blah, blah. Now, did that happen? I don't know, but it was just odd because that is not normal. But in this case, what has been normal?
She further found that the line of abrasions on his arm was consistent with blunt trauma, not an animal attack. A grand jury of everyday citizens heard the documented evidence and testimony before making.
Okay, and just a reminder from video 1 of Who's Who, he mentioned the dog bites or animal attack because of the German Shepherd Chloe that nobody seems to know where she is. So, because they don't know where the dog is. I just know, at first I thought it was some weird tool marks. You'll see his arm in the trial. Thank goodness they don't show his body, but I do think showing his arm is very, very important, at least for the public to know, for full transparency. But I'm very glad they don't show his full autopsy because I've seen most of it and it's not necessary for the public to see all of it. But the arm part was very, very important because it's very unusual.
A decision. the subject of that murder indictment enjoys the constitutional presumption of innocence. Why should the witnesses who have committed no crime be afforded less by members of the community? They should not be harassed for telling the government what they heard or saw. I'm asking the Canton community and everyone who feels invested in this case to hear all the actual evidence at trial before assigning guilt to people who have done nothing wrong. And certainly before taking it upon yourself to harass citizens who evidence shows have done nothing in this matter but come forward and bear witness. We try people in the court and not on the internet for a reason. The internet has no rules of evidence. The internet has no punishment for perjury. And the internet does not know all the facts.
But we know some of the facts, and they don't add up.
Conspiracy theories are not evidence. The idea that multiple police department, EMTs, fire personnel, the medical examiner, and prosecuting agencies are joined in or taken in by a vast conspiracy should be seen for what it is, completely contrary to the evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt. Michael Proctor, the state police trooper, being accused of planting evidence.
Okay, so this part about Trooper Michael Proctor, Morrissey shouldn't have said. Again, he doesn't know all the facts. So, things will be coming out in opening statements and in the trial that will contradict DA Morrissey's statements. Let's continue.
Outside 34 Fairview Road was never at Fairview Road on the day of the incident. Proctor and his state police partner traveled together the entire day while other officers were processing 34 Fairview. Trooper Proctor was not there and did not plant evidence at 34 Fairview Road. In addition to having no opportunity to plant the evidence, as has been suggested, Proctor would have no motive to do so. Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation and had no conflict. And he had no reason to step out of this investigation. Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie. This should be seen for what it is and not used as a pretext to attack and harass others. What is happening to the witnesses, some with no actual involvement in the case, is wrong. It is contrary to the American values of fairness and the constitutional value of a fair trial. It needs to stop now.
Okay, I think we get the picture. I can't. Anyways, I just can't wait for those that have not seen or heard the trial and you're going to watch it with me. I just cannot wait. And then I'll remind you about this video right here that Morrissey has put out. And since this public video that he made, he hasn't really been heard from.